Okay, so the best compact distance irons of 2024. Now this might be one of the most competitive categories there are, but just because they suit so many different styles of players. And over the last few weeks, I've tested dozens and dozens of these irons, and I've come here to Madeira, to the beautiful Paliero Golf Club, where I'm going to run through some of my favourites. I'm going to pick out the best in terms of looks, in terms of feel, in terms of performance. And stay tuned to the end of the video when I'll be crowning my overall winner in this category. The first thing I wanted to talk about is looks, and that's a really pertinent point in this category because despite all the technology and all the help we've got built into these clubs, the idea is it's all wrapped up and disguised in a bit of a better player, more compact profile. So that's a really important element when selecting one of your compact distance irons. There's some great looking irons across the board here this year, but I've picked out my three favourites, my three standouts here. My first one of those is Cobra King Forge Tech. First of all, if you go down into the address position, it's got a healthy heel to toe length, which gives you a little bit of confidence. It's one of the longer of those, but it still doesn't look overly cumbersome in its profile. It's still kind of neat and tidy. And from the shelf appeal point of view, I just think it's great. The finish is gorgeous. They've not used too many colors. You've just got a simple black infill on the Cobra and the Forge Tech. I really like this, and I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but when they don't put paint fill in certain engravings of the King here, I just think it looks really, really premium. So from a shelf appeal point of view and sat in the bag, I think these look great. And the one other thing I did want to mention actually is the lack of offset. There's not much offset on this at all, probably the least amount of offset in the whole sort of compact distance range that I've picked. And I like that. I mean, it won't suit everyone. If you're someone who struggles with the right shot, you might want a little bit more offset, but for my eye, it sort of makes it look a bit more like one of those better player clubs, and I think in this category, that's what you're looking for. Callaway Apex Pro. The whole Apex range from Callaway, I think, has absolutely nailed the aesthetic this year, and one of the big things I think about that is the cohesion between the three models. You've got the Apex Pro, which I've got in my hands, the CB and the MB, they all look so similar. And when you're creating combo sets, which a lot of people do with these compact distance irons, that can be really, really useful. But aside from how it blends in with the rest of its family, it's just a beautiful looking head. And from a profile point of view, it's got notably more offset than certainly the King Forge Tech that I was talking about a second ago, and the other two in its family. But it's still got a very compact heel to toe length, slightly thicker top line. It's just a really nice midpoint behind the ball. And again, from a shelf appeal point of view in the bag, I think they've absolutely nailed it. Mizuno Pro 245. So why have I crowned the Mizuno Pro 245 the best looking compact distance iron? Well, just look at it. It's not even a fair fight, I don't think. I mean, when I was testing these against with the other members of its family, the 241 and the 243, I kept picking up the blade instead of this and vice versa because they look so similar. It looks just like a pure forge blade from the back, and it's absolutely stunning. I hope you can see it gleaming in this light because the finish is just gorgeous. Again, I'm a bit of a sucker for a minimalist look, so they've used very little paint fill. It's a really clean, neat and tidy head with curves in all the right places, and all importantly, down behind the ball, no excessive offset, pretty small top line. So again, it might not appeal to everyone in this category, but these are my choices and I absolutely love this. Like I said, I don't even think it's a fair fight. The winner of the best looking compact distance iron for 2024 for me is the Mizuno Pro 245. Okay, so now we're going to talk about feel, and that's a really interesting category also within this department of irons, because manufacturers, it's come a long way in terms of the materials being used, both internally and externally on these clubs, to create the right audio and to create the right feel. There's become a lot more options, and manufacturers are really tuning in on that and really fine-tuning that point. So again, here I've picked out my three favorites, so let's take a look. Strixon ZX5 Mark II. The reason I've picked this out is because in this compact distance iron category, I think you've got to get two things right. You've got to have a liveliness to the strike that knows you're getting that bit of a distance assistance, but also we don't want it so lively and hot that it's uncontrollable. It's still nice to have a bit of feel and a bit of responsiveness in there, and I think this fits the bill. I'm just going to hit one away and see if you can pick up the audio, because I think it's a really nice sound on the Strixon. Yeah, that's exactly what I felt during testing. It's just got a really nice blend of that lively feeling. I can feel some assistance, I can feel some oomph that I'm getting, but also it's kind of a deep sensation. It's a nice soft feeling iron still whilst getting that assistance. And one other point that makes this iron feel great is the V-sole that Srixon have, and they've got that throughout their entire family. I think it's widely regarded as one of the best soles of an iron in golf. It just really helps that turf interaction, which also goes into making up that overall feel. Great product. The Ping i530. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice I'm no longer in Madeira. I'm actually somewhere else very, very nice. I'm in North Devon at Saunton Golf Club. And the reason I'm here is because there was a late entry into the compact distance iron category, and it came from Ping with the i530. And it's so good, I felt I had to come and record again and get this in there. And in particular in the feel category, because it's got a quite unique feel. Now, the bulk of this iron is geared towards distance. It's quite strong lofted at 29 degrees, and Ping have actually used the same flexible maraging steel face that they use in their metal woods, and they've welded it to a hollow stainless steel body and injected some polymer in the back to help with the feel, which I'll talk about in a second. But that face technology gives it some real oomph. It's a real rocket ship of an iron. But back to the feel, it's a little bit firmer than some in this category, but I sometimes think we get a bit obsessed with words like buttery and soft in irons, and there's nothing wrong with just a good, robust, industrial feeling strike, and that's what you get from this Ping. And you get some really good feedback across the face. It's actually a really good looking iron as well. I think from the back it oozes shelf appeal. But down by the ball in particular, there's not too much offset. There's a reasonable top line. It's not too thick, it's not too scary. It's just a nice overall aesthetic. And when you combine that with a really unique feel and the power you can get off these irons, I think this is a really strong offering from Ping. The TaylorMade P790. So the winner for the best feeling iron in the 2024 compact distance iron category is the TaylorMade P790. It's a bit of a behemoth in this category. And the feel, I think, has evolved over the models. It used to feel a bit hotter, and there were some jumpier shots you used to get from it. But the refinements of the face and the material inside have really jumped this iron a long, long way, and it's now become one of the more reliable irons in this category with less of those jumpers and flyers that you might have previously experienced. So from an audio point of view, I'm just going to hit one away again. It's a really satisfying thud from my memory. Yeah, so I can really sense the speed, I can really sense that I'm getting some assistance off that face. But there is a real depth of strike again. It's softer, and I get a little bit more feedback. It's probably said it again here, but a really satisfying thud that I really, really like. And for that reason, coupled with the performance that comes from that feel, this is the best feeling compact distance iron for me of 2024. Okay, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like button and comment down below what your favourite compact distance irons are for 2024. I'd love to hear it. And if you aren't following the channel, if you aren't subscribed, please do so. TaylorMade P790. So anyone who's ever tested any irons in this particular category of compact distance won't be surprised to see this TaylorMade P790 as my first mention. If you look from the data table, this was my longest carry number, and that's not everything, but it's something, certainly. And combined with the really good launch and spin numbers here, it's a really, really nice performing club. I think I alluded to it before, the consistency of this head is better now with better face and better material as well, without those jumpers that I used to see from P790. This is certainly one of the most popular irons within this category, and rightly so. Mizuno Pro 245. So the Mizuno Pro 245, I've spoken about the looks, it's gorgeous, but it does still perform. Again, referring back to the data table, it wasn't necessarily a standout in any of the categories. It didn't go head and shoulders above anything in one particular area, just really consistent across the board. And also in performance here, it's not just about data. There's sort of immeasurables and unquantifiables such as workability and trajectory control. And I found that really, really good from the Mizuno Pro 245. I don't know whether that was maybe a placebo effect from how blade-like it looks, but I certainly felt I could manage trajectory a bit better. So whilst you can't see that on a data table or a launch number, that's a feeling that I got from my personal testing, and that's why I've got this in the performance category here. The Titleist T200. So for me, the best performing compact distance iron of 2024 is the Titleist T200. Now the reason I've chosen this is, again, probably in the data numbers, it's not necessarily peaked in any particular area, just a really steady performer across the board. But once again, there's sort of unquantifiables of workability and feel and the whole package here in terms of its performance, including turf interaction, which I found really, really good with the T200. That's what's put this as the winner for this category. It's quite a familiar feeling for me as well. I think it's the closest to my style of iron that I play in my bag. I play the Callaway Apex CBs, which are smaller, probably more low handicap cavity back iron. And this to me feels the closest to that, but whilst providing that little bit of ball speed boost that this category warrants. So for that reason, for me, this is the best performing compact distance iron of 2024. Right, so we've come to that point in the video where I'm going to crown my overall favourite compact distance iron of 2024, and I've got it in my hands here. And I can reveal to you now, the winner of this category is the Mizuno Pro 245. Now this choice has been made, I've factored everything in, I've taken a very holistic approach to this choice. I might have had my head turned by the looks somewhat, because that's really stand out here. They are exceptional, and I've alluded to that before as well. Performance across the board though, very solid, but I've not really made this choice based on data numbers, because as I said, there wasn't any particular standout parameters within data. Reliability is the key here. I was seeing the exact flight windows I wanted to see, and I was seeing the yardages time after time with no discrepancies front to back here, which is absolutely outstanding for an iron in this category. I think for me as well, the unquantifiables, the immeasurables, the stuff that the launch monitor doesn't pick up, of that flight control, shaping shots, turf interaction, and the overall feeling you get from an iron. You want to love what you're playing, and if you don't love these, then maybe you need to look for another sport.